Good night again and welcome to the US show. I'm here today to talk to you about immigration in the US workforce. First, let me introduce the guests we'll have tonight. First, a round of applause for Madame Maria Miguel. Nice to meet you. Take a seat. Welcome to our show. The second round of applause for Madame Fiastre. And finally, a third round of applause for Madame Adem. Nice to meet you. Take a seat. Welcome all to the US show tonight. Let's start with the current issue. So tonight we are gonna talk about immigration. So what's immigration? The United States is a country of immigrants. From its foundings, immigrants from across the globe have arrived to the United States as to find the benefits which were not available in their home country. They have brought diversity and richness to the American culture, as well as beneficial skills and knowledge to the American workforce and society. We already know that an intense debate has forever surrounded the topic of immigration. And also, during long periods of time, anti-immigration policies have been applied to those immigrants willing to enter to the United States. For instance, immigrants from undesirable regions were either barred from enter directly to the country itself or pushed into the lowest levels of society through discrimination. Sadly, unfortunately, some of these negative attitudes towards immigration do exist nowadays. In the past few decades, anti-immigration advocates have become more outspoken in proposing new policies against immigration, trying to eradicate dramatically immigrants. And that's what we have to work on, because in fact, immigrants do represent a positive force into the United States. Immigrants, both recent and past, have been able to achieve the American dream through perseverance, hard working, and faith. And because immigrants made huge investments to bring their families, their lives into the United States, and sometimes they are more patriotic and thankful for the ones that were born in the country. Although we have been working in immigration problems since long time ago, immigrants today face many barriers in their daily lives, in their workforce, due to the strict immigration policies. Low-wage jobs without basic labor law standards, without basic labor protection, and criminalizations just for the fact of the immigration status. So now we are gonna turn to who is immigrating in the United States. According to the Migration Policy Institute, in 2014 we had 42.2 million of immigrants entering into the US, which represent the 30% out of the 318.9 million of citizens currently living in the United States. So as we can see here in this slide, we have the top 10 countries of birth for US immigrants, which include Mexico, China, India, Dominican Republic, as well as Canada, and also having immigrant populations exceeding the national average of 10.4%, because the national average is 10.4%, and the countries we have here are the states where mostly immigrants go to. Now it's turn for our guests. Have they suffered some of the racist behaviors we have described previously? Are they comfortable in the United States? Let's listen carefully to their experiences. It's Maria's turn. She is working in a company. She's the manager of the company. We interviewed her last weekend. Let's see the result.
Hello, my name is Maria Felix. I'm Portuguese and I'm 27 years old. I work at UI and I'm going to get married this summer. I moved to United States 5 years ago. Why? Well, because I always wanted to work abroad and the taxation department of the company at United States was searching for someone. So I applied and I'm very happy that I got the place. How is my life at United States? Well, I didn't immigrate because I needed to. I'm here with an adventurous spirit. I did my bachelor at Portugal and my master in Italy. But I wanted to travel more, so I just packed my things and catch the opportunity. My life is good over here and my financial situation allows me to enjoy life. Not so many immigrants in the United States are so lucky as me. They can have a very hard life. It was a big shock to move to the United States. The culture is very different from where I came from. I'm not used to this kind of cold people. It is hard to make friends, and most of the time, at least at the beginning, I felt really alone. Everyone is just in their own world. It's not easy to be an immigrant at the United States, but with dedication, almost everything is possible.
Thank you, Maria. Now should be your turn, Madame Piast. Okay, right? Yeah, but I've been informed that we have our journalist Gemma Puig live in the office of Professor Borjas in Boston. She's an analyst specialized in the topic of immigration, and she also is an author of several good books. For instance, Friends of Strangers, The Impact of Immigrants on the United States Economy, as well as Heaven's Door, Immigration Policy and the American Economy. So let's see if we are able to listen her declaration.
Thank you, Pau. Professor Borjas' research on the economic impact of immigration is perceived as playing a key role in the debate over immigration in the United States and abroad.
Hi, are you the interviewer at the US show? So welcome to my office, you can come.
Thank you very much. First of all, good night, Mrs. Borjas, and thank you very much for receiving us.
Thank you.
As an economist, do you think that immigration is necessary
For what?
for the economic growth?
For the economic growth, of course, but the United States can grow without it. But it can be beneficial due to a country that imposes a rational immigration policy of selecting the most skilled people could do it pretty well.
And for example, could you give some numbers to understand it?
Of course, let me search it. So, according to my database, our current immigration policy leads to an immigration surplus of like $10 billion a year. So, if you had an immigration policy that was mainly skilled workers, you can easily get a number like $100 billion a year. So, what matters for an economic wealth is not the number of people, but the kind of people that the country has.
So, from your point of view, Professor Borjas, what's the difference between trade and immigration from a theoretical standpoint?
So, from a theoretical standpoint, people are not machines. We can import a car from Japan and not having an economic impact in the economy. But we can import 25 Japanese workers who make that car, and that has an economic impact due to they are people. So the machine will not incur in schooling costs for its children. The machine, will not incur in medical costs when it gets sick. So it is not possible to combine mass immigration with a welfare state. It is impossible.
Mr. Borjas, just to sum up and to conclude, for you what really matters is who instead of how many. Supporting that skilled immigrants is what America needs.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time and your passion, Mrs. Borjas.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
See you.
So after having talked with Mrs. Borjas, we have seen another point of view of the immigration in the United States. That's all from Boston. Let's reconnect now with the studio of the US show. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Gemma, for the interview. We are gonna continue into the reality we have here with our guests. Now it's turn for Madame Piast. She's a student from Greece that came into the United States a long time ago to find a better future here in the country. Let's see her interview.
My name is Jen, and I went to America to live the American dream. I was moving 6 years ago when there was a financial crisis in Greece. I went in San Francisco for study because I think America education and knowledge are the best. My dream is to be graduate here in finance in order to live in US as a permanent resident. but for the moment my dream collapses. Unfortunately, I'm not citizen of United States, so I don't have any financial aids for my scholarship. It's complicated because my family is not rich. I have to pay for my own education. I really want to continue studying, but my financial situation is now critical. I'm from Greece, but I consider United States my home. I strongly believe and trust this country. US welcomed me when my country was not able to assure me future. I want to be someone in US, so give me a chance to become the person that I expect to be.
So thank you, Janae. Now it's Macarena's turn. She is currently working in a company in Chicago. Let's listen carefully what she is saying about the working conditions he has to deal with and also the hard daily life in the company. Let's listen to her interview.
My name is Macarena Adem and I come from Cuba. I arrived to the US in 2010. I started working in a factory because I had to help support my family. I had a 1-year-old son and even if I didn't want to leave him alone, I needed to earn some money. Working at the factory was hard. They had me going back and forth between cold and hot environments, which is how I got sick and ended with half my face paralyzed. My salary was $5. After 5 years, I was only making $6 an hour. I worked for a year and a half before I had any benefits. You have to pay extra for health insurance, so barely anyone can afford that. I don't have insurance because I cannot pay for it. When I started getting sick, I was afraid that if I told them I would get fired. When my employer saw that I was sick, they asked if I was covered by my husband's health insurance. I lied and said yes because I didn't want any problems. One day, my supervisor told me that my social security number was bad and I needed to bring a new number and they would hire me back, but as a new employee with no benefits. For me, the biggest problem was that I was 5 months pregnant and I wasn't going to get the temporary disability pay for my pregnancy. Also, where was I going to get a new job now? No one wants to hire a woman who is pregnant. Some of us who were fired organized and began to fight with our employers and told them they were being unfair. Now I still have not gotten my job back or been hired elsewhere.
Thank you, Macarena, for your interview. We've seen here in the interview that you are living a completely different situation than the ones we have already seen here, and we are really also grateful to have you here tonight because you also represent the other side of the kind of immigration. And I would like to ask you something. Is there something missing in the interview that you would like to add here in the show?
Yes, Pablo. I'm very grateful to be here tonight, because my history is not that easier than Maria's history and Jane. For me, it's so difficult to bring money to my house. I have to pay so many bills, and my financial situation is not very good.
So we are really grateful for having you here tonight because you represent the most immigrant workforce in the United States, and also it's good to have you here tonight because sometimes we do not want to realize what the immigrants do face in the United States, and in fact we have a lot of them like you living the same you are living, so it's good for us to understand and to realize your conditions. So it's a pleasure for me having you tonight, and also we want to offer you something. We have a present for you, have a gift for you that is you are gonna live tonight here with a job with good working conditions because we want you to be happy and to bring money to your family and to have a good future and to achieve the American dream. So thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you. Before finishing the tonight show, 3 weeks ago, our talented group of journalists, we traveled to the west coast of the United States to figure out how immigrants do live there. So let's see what we record there.
So why did you move to the United States?
I moved here because I wanted to study at a specific school for designers.
Was it worth the risk to leave everything you knew for something new?
It was, for me, it was very much worth it to leave everything that I knew for something new. The life of an immigrant in the US can be quite difficult because there's so many laws and it's very hard to obtain a visa for you to be able to stay, work, and all this stuff.
Was there a cultural shock when you got here?
There was definitely a little culture shock when I got to LA because, for example, I think that people are more close-minded here compared to where I'm from in Canada. So that was definitely different, and I did feel like I had to adapt more to however they operate, I guess. More so than them welcoming me, just the way I do things, or obtaining visas and all this stuff is very stressful and hard. But my plan is to stay here. I will try to get a new visa that will make me be able to work in the States in the field that I'm studying right now, and then eventually try to go for a green card.
So as to conclude our show tonight, I would like to say something. We are not separate from the Latinos, we are not separate from the Asians, neither the Africans, neither the Americans or anyone else. We are all flesh and blood members of the human race, and that's what America is supposed to stand for. Hope you enjoy the TV show tonight, and see you next week when we will have a special guest who is Madame Schumacher, and a specialist of doing business in the United States. So do not miss next week's program. See you next week. Bye bye.